chasing dreams. My name is John. I'm an old man now, sitting in my quiet house. The walls are silent and the air feels heavy. I often sit by the window and think about my past. I had a stable job in an office when I was young. The pay was good and my family was happy. My wife, Sarah, was kind and loving. We had 2 wonderful children, Emma and James. Life seemed perfect, but something was missing. Deep inside, I had a dream. I wanted to be a doctor. I wanted to help people and save lives. But life had other plans for me. Every day at my office desk, I felt trapped. I wanted to do more, to be more, but I stayed quiet. One evening, I sat with Sarah after dinner. The children were playing in their room. I looked at her and said, "I need to tell you something important." "What is it, John?" she asked with a gentle smile. "I want to go to medical school." "I want to be a doctor," I said firmly. Her smile faded. "But what about us? What about the kids?" she asked, confused and worried. "I'll come back as a doctor," I promised. "Everything will be better." The children didn't understand what was happening. They just hugged me tightly, their innocent eyes full of trust. I left my job and my family to follow my dream. I moved to another city for school, carrying hope in my heart. But I didn't know what this choice would cost me. Medical school was hard. I studied day and night. My hands shook the first time I held a surgical tool, but I told myself, "You can do this, John." Slowly, I got better. I learned how to care for sick people and bring them hope. Letters from Sarah became rare. At first, she wrote about the kids and how they missed me, but soon the letters stopped. I sent letters back, but there was no answer. I called home, but no one picked up. I told myself to stay focused. Finish school, then go home, I thought. My dream was close, but my heart felt heavy. Years passed. I graduated and became a doctor. People clapped at my graduation, but there was no one there for me. No Sarah, no Emma, no James. I stood alone, holding my diploma. My dream had come true, but something felt broken inside me. After I became a doctor, I moved to a big city. The hospital was busy. Every day, I treated sick people. Some smiled when I helped them. Others cried, thanking me. It felt good to save lives, but at night I sat alone in my small apartment. I tried to call Sarah again. The number didn't work anymore. I wrote letters to my kids, hoping they would reply, but my mailbox stayed empty. I often thought about them. Emma was probably a teenager now, and James must have been so big. I wondered if they still remembered me. Work became my life. I spent long hours at the hospital. Patients needed me, and I told myself that I was doing something important. But when I saw fathers with their children or mothers with their babies, my heart ached. One day I saw a little girl holding her dad's hand in the hospital. She smiled at him and said, "I love you, Daddy." I smiled at her, but inside I felt pain. I had missed so much. At night, I stared at the old family photo I kept in my wallet. It was worn and faded, but it was all I had. I whispered, "I hope you're happy, Sarah. I hope the kids are okay." Then I closed my eyes and tried to sleep. Years passed, and I became a famous doctor. People respected me. They wrote about me in magazines. My picture was in newspapers. Everyone thought I had a perfect life, but they didn't know the truth. At night, my home was silent. There was no laughter, no voices of children. I sat alone, eating dinner by myself. The walls felt empty without family pictures. My success had come at a high cost. One evening, after a long day at the hospital, I walked through the park. I saw families sitting together, laughing and sharing stories. A father played ball with his son. I smiled, but my heart felt heavy. I missed my own children, Emma and James. An old man sat on a bench nearby. He looked at me and said, "You look sad for a man who has everything." I sighed and sat beside him. "I don't have everything," I said quietly. We talked for a while. I told him about my dreams, my hard work, and the family I lost along the way. He listened carefully and then said, "Success is good, but love is better. Don't forget that." That night, his words stayed with me. I realized that I had chased one dream but lost another. My heart ached for the family I left behind. But was it too late to find them? I decided to look for my family. Maybe it was too late, but I had to try. The next morning, I made calls and sent messages. I asked friends if they knew where Emma and James were. Weeks passed with no answers. I felt hopeless, but didn't stop searching. One day, I found an old photo of us. Emma was smiling, and James had his arm around her. My heart ached. I missed them so much. I hired a private investigator. He found a lead after months of searching. Emma lived in another city, and James had moved abroad. My hands shook as I held the report. What would I say to them after all these years? I wrote letters to both of them. I said I was sorry for leaving and that I missed them every day. I told them about my work, my success, and my loneliness. Then I waited. The days felt long and quiet. I walked through the house, hoping for a letter or a call. My heart was filled with both hope and fear. One morning the phone rang. I answered quickly. A familiar voice said, "Dad?" It was Emma. Tears filled my eyes. "Emma, it's me," I said, my voice. Emma and I talked for hours. She told me how her life had been without me. She had missed me, but she was angry too. I understood. I had left them for my dream, but now I was ready to be with them. She said, "Dad, we are happy that you found us, but we are also sad. It was hard without you." I apologized again, telling her that I never meant to hurt her or James. I wanted to be a good father, but I lost my way. We agreed to meet. Emma and I decided to see each other in a few weeks. I was nervous, but I was also excited. After so many years, we would finally be together again. When the day arrived, I stood in the park, waiting. I looked around and saw Emma. She was older now, but she still looked like my little girl. She smiled when she saw me. "Dad," she said. I walked towards her, and we hugged for the first time in many years. I felt a deep peace inside. I had found my family again. We spent the day talking and catching up. I told her about my work and my life. She told me about her children and her husband. It felt so good to be together again. That night, I went home with Emma. I knew that life would never be the same. But I was finally home, and that was enough.